Hi, I'm Alex and we're here at the Abbey Centre, Westminster, London. We're going to find out what the three main mayoral candidates, Boris, Ken and Brian, are going to do about helping to get young people on the housing ladder in London. Basically, we're here to find out about young people, your views on young people for housing. How are you going to help them get on the housing ladder in London? Because at the moment you've got a situation where they're looking for at least like 2 other people to join up with, where they can actually afford to get on the housing ladder in order to bring joint salaries. I mean, what are you going to do about it? What's the big dilemma and how are you going to solve it?
The real dilemma is that the mayor and the government can't control the housing market. And the price of houses is increasing at a much greater rate than the salaries are. And so it's costing a greater and greater proportion of your salary before you can afford to buy anything. And I really don't see a way out of it unless you do one of two things. You either reduce the demand or you increase the supply. And I want to put a major emphasis initially on decent, affordable rented accommodation. Places where anybody would like to live, but it's at affordable rents. That will take out hopefully that will take some of the heat out of the housing market, and maybe it might suppress some of the prices, and that might help things in the longer term. But the most important thing in the short term is to make sure that young people can move into their own place, where it's not going to take over half of their salary like it is at the moment if they try and rent in the private sector. But it is, a decent place where people would want to live.
Excellent.
Even though they don't earn it.
That's fab. That's absolutely fine. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. We're going to find Ken now. Right, so we've basically found out that young people are finding it very hard, and we know very well that young people are finding it very hard to get on the housing ladder. Sometimes 2 or 3 people have to get joint income. What are you going to do about that in terms of carrying on your position if you get re-elected?
The most important thing is that you've got to provide housing for rent at reasonable rents. And the real catastrophe of the last 25 years was Thatcher stopped building homes for rent. Housing associations increased a bit, but never filled the gap when councils were banned from building council housing. And the commitment I've given is that over this next 4-year term, we've got the money to build 47,000 homes for rent. And that immediately starts to free up the market. That's a huge injection. So it becomes easier all the way through. And at the moment, councils have got a lot of really grotty old property they're forcing families into. Whereas in the days when we had decent housing programmes, you were actually able to let a lot of the older property to young people just arrived in London, just left there, or just moved out from their parents and so on. And it gave them a base whilst they got a better job and a secure accommodation. Those days have been devastated because basically all the good stuff was flogged off, and stuff that isn't really suitable for families are being forced into, where they make really great homes for 2 or 3 young people sharing.
What are you doing for young people to help get them on the housing ladder in London? What are you doing to help them?
The most important thing is there are loads of people who are not being helped at all by the current system. They might be graduates, they might be people on earning the basic rate, less than 34,000, who simply can't qualify for the key worker schemes or for the intermediate schemes. And you not only got to build more social rented accommodation, but we're going to release land from the GLA bodies so that it's available for community land trusts, which will help people on modest incomes to get a share in the value of their property, and they can then staircase up or down. And I think there are people in this city who want to be able to get on that housing ladder if they possibly can, and as mayor I want to help them.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Good luck. Okay.